Hello! In this video I'm going to show you how easy it is to use Excel's filtering and subtotaling features. Now remember, you can follow along. You can download the file. It's called Customer List on my website luthermaddy.com, and you'll be able to do exactly what I'm doing very quickly and easily. Both of these features, filtering and subtotaling, are when you're dealing with a large amount of data. Now, the data that you're working with does need to be set up as a database. In other words, we need to have column headings, and we also need to ensure that all of the information about each record is on one row. And that's exactly what you have in the example and also in the file I'll be working with, and also the file you can download on my website. So filtering allows us to get a smaller list. Maybe we want to see just the individuals in one particular city or one particular state. And it's very easy to do that. Step back and just wait just a second and we'll show you how to quickly and easily do that. Subtotaling, which I'm going to show you in the second part of this video, allows you to summarize with numeric calculations your data. So in this case I have example of an average last purchase date by city. So hang on and we'll get right to it here. Alright, we're going to start with filtering. So here we have a very large list of data. In fact, there are 421 rows worth of information here, and you can see that we have separated this data into columns for fields. So this essentially is an Excel database. And the idea behind filtering is if I do have fields, that I can filter by different subsets. Now I see right now when I'm looking at this that there is just one city showing, Boise. But as I scroll down the list, I do see indeed that there are additional cities. So maybe I just want to see a particular city. I want to know how many there are, just so I can visually see, or maybe I want to extract that batch of cities into a different spreadsheet that I can work with, maybe to do a mail merge. Well, it's very easy to filter the list. So I'm going to go up here to the heading, and I'm going to go ahead and go on the Home tab, and I'm going to choose Sort and Filter. And I'm just going to go ahead and click the little filter tool. And now you can see that each field has a little arrow attached, which now means that I can filter by that particular field. So if I wanted to filter by a particular state, I just click the arrow. It lists all the states that are there, and I could choose one or multiple ones. In this case though, let's start with city. So I'm going to click the drop down list here for city. I'm going to turn off select all first, because obviously that means I'm seeing all cities. So in this case I'm just interested in Lewiston, Idaho, which is close to where I live. So I click Lewiston, I click OK. And now instead of seeing 421 records, I'm seeing just the records that are in Lewiston. Now if you notice the rows, you'll notice that the rows are starting at 155 and going down to 178. The rows that do not belong to Lewiston are not showing up. Now let's assume I also want to filter this down a little bit further. Maybe I'm interested in this customer list, but I only want to see the males that live in Lewiston. Well, I've already selected Lewiston, and if you look at that little filter tool, you'll see that it looks a little bit different, and that tells me that there is a filter applied. When I point to it, it says that the city equals Lewiston. Now I'll go ahead and go over to the gender field. I'll turn off select all, and I'll turn on male. At this point then, I'm going to select only the males who live in Lewiston because I have both filters, and now I have a much smaller list. Notice that the row numbers skip because again there are females in between the males here. Now that's how easy it is to work with filtering. I'm going to go ahead and clear these two filters by turning on select all again, so there's all the cities. I'm going to go ahead and back to gender, choose select all. This time I'm going to do a numeric filter because we can do that as well. So let's assume that we're only interested in the list of customers that have purchased more than $100 the last time they purchased. So this time I'm going to be concerned with the last purchase amount. So I go to the drop down list for last purchase amount, and I can see that what it's done is it's listed every individual purchase amount. Well, that's not what I really want to do here. I want to see again $100 or more. So instead of choosing a specific value and seeing maybe one or two, I'm going to go to number filters here, and then I can choose greater than or equal to. And is greater than or equal to, I'll just put in 100. And I could also put in a range here, and I could say, less than or equal to. I could do between 100 and 200. In this case, though, I'm just interested in more than 100. So I go ahead and click OK. And now I see everybody in the list, regardless of the city, the state, the gender, their age. how much they've purchased, but only those that have purchased more than $100. Well, that's really how easy it is to use filtering. You can also go to the filter tool if you're all done, and you could just click on clear, and that clears all the filters that you have. If you go to filter and sort again, you turn off the filter, and now it's back to just the normal database. All right, so that is filtering. And in the next part of this lesson, we'll go ahead and show you how to summarize these values by a category. For instance, maybe I want to see an average of all the sales in Boise or Idaho, and we'll do that through the subtotal feature. So just hang on for just a second. Using the filter feature, we could see the records that we were interested in. We could see the records that were in Lewiston, the records that were in Idaho, the records that were male that spent more than $100. But we really didn't have any calculations. So this time what I'm interested in knowing is, in Idaho, what's the average last purchase versus the other states that are here? Now, we'll use this subtotaling feature, the subtotaling tool that's available on the Data tab. However, in order for this to work correctly, we have to have this sorted by the category that we want to subtotal by. And so in this case, let's go ahead and go with city again. You'll notice that these records are not sorted by city, so I'm going to go ahead and go into the city field, and I'm going to choose filter and sort, and I'm going to choose sort A to Z, and now the records are sorted by city, with Boise being at the top, I guess because it starts with a B. So now that I've got them sorted, I can go ahead and subtotal by city. So I'll go to the Data tab. Once I'm in the Data tab, I will find way over at the end here the subtotal feature. Go ahead and click that. Now, it's asking me now how I want to summarize the data, and it says at each change in ID number. No, I'm not interested in categorizing or summing or averaging the data each time the ID changes. I'm interested in getting statistics each time the city changes. So I'll go ahead and choose city. And then it says, okay, what function do you want? Well, I'm really not interested in the sum, although that might be useful in some cases. Count would also be very valuable sometimes, but I really want to see the average. So I'm going to go ahead and choose average as the summation that I want. Then it says, okay, what field do you want to subtotal? Well, the only numeric fields I have here are age and last purchase date. It has selected last purchase date for me. That will work in this case, exactly what I want to do. So I'll go ahead and click OK. Now, as soon as I do that, I don't see much that's changed here. Although if I do scroll down to the very, very bottom of all of the Boise's, I will see a Boise average. So the average purchase, last purchase for the individuals, my customers that live in Boise, is $67.98. Caldwell a little higher at $70.73. Well, the cool thing about this, though, is if you notice over here at the top left of our data area, you're going to see some numbers. You'll see 1, 2, and 3. These are different summation levels. The 3, which is what we have right now, shows all the data and the subtotals. If I'm interested in just the averages, I'll go ahead and click on the 2. This gives me the second level of summation, and now I have the average last purchase for each of the cities. I also have down here a grand average. So altogether, in general, the average is $65.50 for the last purchase. And so I can see that some of the cities outperform the average. Well, if I'm interested just in the grand average, I would just go ahead and click the 1 here. And now I have just the grand average, which isn't very helpful to me. So I'll go back to the 2, and now I could compare the different cities and see maybe I need to work a little harder on Pullman. It doesn't look like they're buying as much as the average customer. If I again want to see the individual records, I go back to 3. Now, the cool thing about this is if I also wanted to know how many were in that particular city, I could add an additional subtotal or subcalculation here. So I go back to subtotals again. Now I want to make sure, first off, that I'm changing the average to count, but I want to turn off the replace current subtotals, because if I leave that on, then it will replace the average with the count. So I'll go ahead and turn it off and click OK. Now you'll see actually I have a different level here. I have a fourth level here, but let's scroll down to Boise. And I have both the Boise count and the Boise average. So if I go to level 3 in this case, I will have Boise count, Boise average. If I go to level 2, just the average. And if I go to level 1, the grand count and the grand average. Back to level 4, I see again the data and all of the records and the count and the average. Now when I'm done with subtotals, I printed this out, I've done the analysis that I want to, I would want to remove the subtotal so I can go back and work with the data. So I go back to the subtotal tool, and I'm going to go ahead in this case say remove all. I'll click on remove all, and now the data is back just to the way it was. So you can see it's very easy to use the subtotal feature. Again, the key here is making sure that your data is in a database format with column headings and all of the information for each record in one row. Remember also that you can download a file and follow along on my website, luthermaddy.com. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it, consider subscribing, and we'll see you again in the next Excel or Microsoft Office or any other video that I've got out there to help humans learn. Thank you.